Hello everybody, this is Chris Bird or MonkeyDude1313, and this is Wishlist Wednesday for Neo Genesis, one of the very earliest sets in the entire Pokemon TCG. I have been around since the very beginning of Pokemon, back when Red and Blue were released onto the Game Boy, and back when Pokemon base set Shadowless First Ed came out. So this set is near and dear to my heart, not just because it's full of a ton of iconic artwork and Gen 2 Pokemon, but also I was there when it happened. I was 8 years old in December of 2000 when this set came out, and it was very, very exciting to get my hands on it. I had already played through Pokemon Blue and Red by that point. I had Pokemon Blue, my brother had Pokemon Red, he chose Charmander as a starter, I chose Squirtle, and immediately my favorite Pokemon of all time became Charizard, and it has never changed. I don't know if there's any brotherly influence on that or not, but it is what it is. So immediately I was hooked, collecting Pokemon cards from the original base set, and I continued collecting all the way through this Neo era. So it's really exciting to get to go through this binder and give a little bit of a talk about it. The stories from that time that I have are very muddled. You know, being 8, you're experiencing so many new things for the first time that what your brain chooses to remember and not remember is an enigma. So interestingly, the best story I have about Neo Genesis is actually about a Japanese Pokemon card, but we'll get there when we get there. So you may notice over here there's a PSA label. This is because we cracked a Neo Discovery Wooper first edition out of a slab to practice cracking slabs, so unrelated to this video. Over here is the first page of the Unlimited Holos from Neo Genesis. Normally we put our first editions first in the binder because that's the release order. That's when they came out. However, to keep things interesting, showing off all the Unlimiteds first, and then we'll get to the first editions. And I will mention, we do have the Lugia in first edition. But what other cards are we missing? You will just need to keep watching to find out. So, the very first holo I ever pulled from Neo Genesis was Heracross. Not this exact copy, but Heracross. It was a great time. Friends would come over for birthday parties and just to hang out, and we would open packs and have a good time with it. And I really have no frame of reference for how many packs I even opened. Was it 20? Was it 100? I have no clue. Most of my packs came from my own pocket money at the time that I got from working. So who knows how many I actually ended up opening. A lot of them did also come from friends for birthday gifts and whatnot. Alright, so I'm going to pull out only a few of the Unlimiteds, and we'll spend more time looking at the first editions. So this Neo Genesis Unlimited Lugia is in fantastic condition, and we picked this up from Tofu's Trading here in San Jose. We had just submitted or traded in a bunch of Gym Heroes packs that we had kept sealed, and we decided to use some of the store credit on this unlimited version of the Lugia. But luckily we didn't need to pay modern prices for the first edition version. This Kingdra, actually no, is the first edition version of this, so I'll wait until we get there. But some of these cards come from my partner's original collection, and some of them come from what we've picked up over the last 6 to 8 months. So there will be a little mix of both. This is not a personal collection that I've held on to forever. In fact, most of my original collection is in someone else's hands now because I traded it away. Well, I sold it and then used some of the money to buy a GameCube. At the time it was worth, I regret that now, but that's okay. So I'm rambling a lot because I'm very excited about this set, but I'll just keep on flipping through here. This was also the first set to feature Metal and Dark as a type in the game. This set, we got a Holo Metal Energy. We didn't get a Holo Dark Energy, but it wasn't just a basic energy type either. This Metal Energy would actually reduce the amount of damage the Pokemon it was attached to took by 10. So 10 less damage for having this on, but since it was a special energy, you could only have 4 of them in your deck. And so that means if you wanted to run a Steel-type deck, you really needed a way to find those guys, or, more likely, you ran a different type along with the Metal type. But very, very cool. All the decks I played at this time were just kind of thrown together mismatches of the stuff I had, so there was no real significance to which Pokemon I played with or liked or whatever. I liked all of them. This Meganium is the one that has the Japanese story to it. So we traveled to China back in 2003. And on our trip to China, we had to do a layover in a Japanese airport. And while there, I convinced my dad to buy me a pack of Neo Genesis in Japanese. My brother at the time got a pack of Gym Challenge in Japanese. His pack contained Sabrina's Alakazam Japanese. My pack contained that Meganium, but in Japanese. So, interestingly enough, one of my main memories of the Neo Genesis set was actually a layover in Japan on our way to China. So, interesting. This Steelix, exactly this Steelix actually, was a pickup from a friend on like the last week or two of college. And so this was 10 years ago, maybe, something like that. And they just randomly had this card. And they knew I was into Pokemon, and so they decided to give it to me. And so that card is fairly special to me. All right, but let's move on. I've been talking way too much about relatively related things. All right, the art from this generation is fantastic. Clefairy on a swing, how can you go wrong with that? The very first Miltank card ever produced, and I love all of the starter Pokemon getting duplicates, meaning two different cards of the same Pokemon. And that even applies for the Holos as well. I don't know why I'm even going backwards, but it applies to all the Holos as well. So, very, very, very cool. All right, so let's flip through some of these unlimited ones. Very, very cool art, but the stuff everyone is excited for is the first ads. Pikachu. Oh yes. I had like a billion of these Mareeps, but I mean, I had a lot of these, but it felt like I had so many of these, and I think part of it's just because there were a million Mareep in the picture as well. All right, well, some of these arts actually got reprinted in Celestial Storm, which came out, I don't know, 6 years ago or something, but, the Onyx was reprinted in that set, the exact same art. So, all of these cards are not left to rot in history, they are being refreshed and brought back. All right, Pokemon Tools were new in this set, and that's when they brought out the berries. And this set actually featured, I don't think it was, Arcade Game, yeah. So, Arcade Game actually had to be modified for the English release of this. This was actually Casino Game or something in Japanese, but they didn't want to promote gambling to kids here in the States, so they put Arcade Game. But everyone knows if you play the game where you can play this, you're in a casino spending in-game dollars and not getting a lot of it back. So then you go and you spend the rest of your in-game money to buy a Porygon or whatever you decided to buy at the time. So good stuff. All right, so similar to the Steel Energy at the beginning, we have a Dark Energy at the end, but for Dark, you actually give your attacking Pokemon 10 extra damage rather than them taking 10 less damage when being attacked. Similar, Special Energy, you could only run 4. Good luck playing a Dark-type deck that didn't run anything else. At the time, your decks had to run significantly more than 4 energies. Alright, so here's the grand reveal, the one everyone is most excited for, because it has the first edition Neo Genesis Lugia here. I wish I could say that I pulled this, or that this is a relic from the past that we had unearthed from our binders in the garage or something, but no, actually this was a fairly impulse purchase back in college. I went on to TCG Player, and I really wanted to grab a copy of this card and a bunch of other ones, and so I think I spent like $30 for this. So this card is in fantastic condition. There's like a tiny little speck or two there that might be an issue for grading, but when you look at the back, this is absolutely insane. This card is in wonderful, wonderful condition, and we should absolutely be grading that at some point. So we'll see how that works out. Some of these cards, like the Heracross, were part of our original collections from way back when. So these ones, some of them are in slightly worse shape than we would have liked. So if you can see all the scuffing on that guy, that is not the greatest condition Heracross. We certainly try to buy cards, or buy or trade for cards now that are LP or better, and it really depends. We got this Ampharos from Nicholas, here local. Great guy. He's just fantastic. We like everything about him, and so we try to find neat stuff from him every time we hang out. So got that Ampharos from him, very cool. We got, which one was it? I think it was this Feraligatr we won a coin flip for. We saved $30 over what we had negotiated the price to be, so that was neat. And yeah, I don't know why I'm talking so much. I'll just pull out some cards and we can take a look at it. Ampharos isn't in the best condition either. but, you know, it couldn't be helped. Plus, there's a nice little swirl there. All right, next up, Azumarill. Another swirl here on the right side here, and it's actually like a double or triple swirl. It's not just a clean, there's quite a few swirl over there, overlaying each other, so that's very, very neat there. This blossom we picked up from a vendor here locally named Peruvian Poppers, and he always hooks us up with the good stuff. This card is in fantastic condition, and I absolutely love the art on this card. All right, so this Feraligatr is also fairly sentimental to me because this was one of the first holos that I played in a deck at the time. I know earlier I'd mentioned that it was kind of a mismatch of everything I had, but this Feraligatr specifically was the main attacker of one of my most memorable decks at the time. And of course, none of this was playing in tournaments or anything. This was just playing with friends at home or on the playground back when it was still allowed to do that. All right, here's the Hairgrass I'd already pulled out. Jumpluff here. Another iconic artwork there. A very nice swirl above the puff right there. Very, very nice. And this Kingdra actually we got from a vendor named Wallace. And he has been hooking us up with a lot of great stuff as well. He has a bunch of Shadowless First Ed as well that we've been picking up from him. Very, very nice. Great guy. And he always has a lot of fun stories to talk about when we meet up at card shows. All right. I've already talked about the Lugia, so I will pass on that for now. But the second page, we now see why this is a Wishlist Wednesday. So we are missing exactly one holo from this set. We're missing a few other non-holos as well, but we're missing the holo Typhlosion number 17 first edition. And so just to give a little bit of a visual here, we're missing the first edition version of this Typhlosion. So I'll pull this up. Neat card, it's got a great swirl there, but yeah, so that is the holo we're missing. It is unfortunately one of the more valuable holos, but that is okay. This Meganium came from an original collection of ours, meaning we've had this one for a very, very long time, so it is also fairly scuffy, but that's okay. The sentimental value of the card far exceeds the peel of the front. All right, this Meganium is another one we picked up over the last couple of months. The deal we made was trading a bunch of Sun Moon era tag team half-arts. And when I say a bunch, I mean like 3. At the time, this was quite a bit. All right, this Pichu. This Pichu is very annoying. This Pichu has evaded us for a very long time, and we finally had it. And the reason I say evaded is not that we haven't been able to find one at any of the card shows, but we found many, many copies of it that have not been in very great shape. And so we ended up picking this one up, I think, last weekend at, I think it was just East Bay Card Show here in San Jose. Very, very nice card. Love this Pichu. One of the first baby Pokemon ever printed. Baby Pokemon did not exist until Gen 2, and this was the first set of Gen 2, so it makes a lot of sense. We'll show off the Skarmory. The darker colored background makes it so you can't see the Cosmos Holo as well, but that's part of what makes the silver part of it so appealing, is that it looks extra bright. All right, this Slowking. This Slowking we picked up from DGen Collectibles here in San Jose. And they had a different Slowking that had a little bit more of scratches on it than I would have wanted. And then they ended up picking up this copy, and I picked it up as soon as I could. So, very, very nice card there. Moving on to Steelix. All right, great art. Yet again, the dark background. And then Togetic first edition here. Take a look at that one. Got a half swirl up on the top. I really like the white balls in the art here that kind of help make the Pokemon stand out a bit. And then the non-existent Typhlosion. And then this first edition Typhlosion. We picked up this one from Jinkies, I believe. Very cool. Very, very cool art there. All right, and then the last one, the Metal Energy. This one we have had for quite a long time as well. It has some weird sideways lines on it, but other than that, it's fine. Nice card, nice card. All right, so we're out of the holos, and we'll yet again do a flip through of the first edition non-holos here to finish off the set. All right, still nothing missing. All first editions, very, very good. And then we're missing Seadra first edition from Neo Genesis. We've been looking for him for like 8 months now. We don't want to just straight up buy off TCG Player, so we continue to look at shows for him. Still haven't found it. But we have the rest of the Pokemon. And then as we will see on the next flip, we are missing 4 trainers. Random assortment of 4 trainers, and it just so happens to be in a very neat pattern on the page. They're not the rare trainers, mind you. They're the uncommons, 4 of the uncommon trainers. And part of what's difficult to find about first edition non-holos from these sets is people don't want to open light packs anymore. And so they will only open heavy packs. And so if you're looking for cards like this, you have ever fewer nice versions of the cards to get, and especially the first edition non-holo rares, even harder to find. And the final flip for this set reveals that we're also missing 3 different energy cards in first edition. Before 2 weeks ago, we were missing both of these as well, but we found both of these in a dollar bin at a card show we went to. So we are missing 3 energies, 4 trainers, Seadra, and then the Typhlosion, for a total of 9 cards, if I recall properly. But that Typhlosion is the lion's share of the missing value. So this is the end of Neo Genesis. However, I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek. I will just lift the curtain. There is our Neo Discovery, and like I mentioned before, we keep our first Ed at the beginning of the section. So you guys will just have to subscribe and stay tuned for whenever we get to the either Wishlist or Master Set video for Neo Discovery. So thank you guys for watching, and if you have a specific video you would really like to see, or a specific set you're interested in, please let me know. I would love to make videos that you guys are into seeing. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time.